No one thought that I would ever come this far. When everything was telling me that it was over, still there was a fire burning in my heart. There were days I felt like I was at my lowest. I pushed so hard I couldn't see beyond the pain. I never knew I made it high enough to notice I'm getting closer, stronger than I've ever been. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I am living proof that nothing is impossible. I beat the odds when hope was nowhere to be found. There was a strength that carried me through every obstacle. It lets me know that it's too late to give up now. And I am not afraid to climb another mountain, to risk it all, to face my deepest, darkest fear, to live a dream much bigger than I can imagine. 'Cause I want the world to know that I am here. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I believe that dreams are untamable. And I believe that wings were made to fly. I'll touch the sky, reach for the stars, do the impossible. And there's nothing that can ever bring me down. I'm one dream away from everything I hope to be. I am one step closer to the finish line. I know that every stride will lead me to my destiny. And I'm one reach away from taking what is mine. I believe that I'm unstoppable. I believe I've only just begun. I will conquer, I will fly, reach my peak, I will. And there's nothing that can ever
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to every one of you. Thank you for coming out. This beautiful event that is going to change narrative, that is going to change your mind.
So today we're here to discuss about learning outcomes. We have very qualified speakers from all around the world.
Schools across Africa are joining Edves because of our position and because of our love to see school grow and deliver the objectives of learning and make impact.
What we need to change is we need to make sure that whatever we do, whether it's a public sector school and private sector school, the children should not suffer as a result. Because at the end of the day, the only way to lift the people out of poverty is through education.
With pedagogical leadership now, you have a set of strategies that then support teachers to be better, to keep improving. And that has a direct impact on learning outcomes.
The argument for curriculum change has always been that either we are behind the learning or there's no new technology that needs to be learned. There's new change in society that we need to respond to.
But what Edves has done for us is that we're able to see data as to how everyone performs in the classroom, and we're able to see how people are struggling.
Our commitment as educators is tied to the definition and description of who a teacher is. Teacher is an agent of change that facilitates knowledge, discovery, and growth. And the funny thing about it is that education and the teaching profession is a profession of responsibility.
A student who has learned a particular topic I'm teaching must be able to demonstrate a meaningful application of that concept.
You may be good in acquiring, acquisition, but you may not be good in internalizing it and making it your own. If you can't make it your own, you can't give it out.
If you follow the curriculum is not going to tell you to teach your students about life and living. And that's where the problem comes from, especially in the university. Most of the problems we have in this nation today, they are problems that came from our so-called universities. Unfortunately, I'm part of that creation.
You can make extra income from Edves when you refer and earn. I know that there are so many school owners here who are part of us in Edves. You can actually refer a school and get a commission.
Adopting technology to teach is no longer a news. What is news is the ability for all the teachers who are born before the computer age to adopt this instrument called technology.
Statistics has it, in the next 20 years, those schools that are not database, that are not computer-based, will be in extinction.
So my brother hustle, so my sister walk. No condition lasts forever, your own turn they come. So my brother hustle, so my sister walk. Peace, you know they cook forever, your own peace go down.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the SGA webinar. I'm so glad to have all of us in here. I'm sure some of us have joined from different parts of the world. We've had people register from Nigeria, from Cameroon, from Tanzania, Ghana, and different countries, even the UK and the US. And we've been making a lot of impact so far. Welcome to the July edition of the SGA webinar. My name is Nena Okore. I'm the Director for Learning and Research in Edves, and I'm so glad to be here today. Before we start, I would like to enjoin all our participants to go to the comment section and put an emoji or say hi and welcome your fellow participants to this SGA webinar. Wow, thank you. Welcome, Esemaga Efemina Emmanuel from Jos Plateau State, Nigeria. We want more people to come online and share their expectations. What are your expectations for this month's webinar? What do you want to learn? Today we're focusing on social and emotional learning. So what are your learning expectations? What do you intend to achieve in this webinar for today? All right, so we'll start immediately with a welcome address by the co-founder of Edves, Dare Adebayo. He'll be joining us soon to give us a welcome address on what we do at Edves and why we have a continuous flow of the webinar every month, which is absolutely free, and our commitment to ensure that education is reimagined in Africa and in the world. Welcome, Joe Babatunde from Ogun State. Welcome every one of you who is just joining us today.
Edves is Africa's leading digital educational platform, which enables administration, communication, finance, teaching, and learning beyond the classroom. Edves allows you as a parent to access and track your child's academic reports and personal growth at any time, giving you a better understanding of your child's academic performance.
Have a nice day at school.
We give you the security and reassurance you need to excel in your daily activities and manage your financial obligations to your child's education. Edves provides an administrative and management system which enhances accountability, teamwork, and growth needed for a thriving organization. Which brings perfect results. Teach creatively, learn effectively, track your child's performance easily, and do so much more with Edves. Edves, digital education. Visit www.edves.net to get started now.
Hello, welcome back for the short advert video. My name is Dare Adebayo, co-founder and COO of Edves. I want to welcome everybody to this month's edition of School Growth Academy. And the topic we're looking at, it's a very, very important topic. We want to look at the balance between technology and the social and emotional intelligence of students in classrooms. This is very, very important for us as educators, for teachers that are on the call, for school owners, for school administrators. I mean, the SGA program has been very, very wonderful over the last 2 months. It's been very insightful for teachers, and we've had a lot of positive feedback I'm very, very confident that today's program is going to be far, far better than even the programs that we've held in time past. So this is me saying welcome to everybody. Please sit back, relax, have your pens, your paper, your gadgets to take down notes. And I'm sure our list of panelists will do a great justice to the topic. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful time on the webinar. Thank you.
There's a lot of talk these days about SEL, social emotional learning. But what exactly is it? Social emotional learning is the process of learning social and emotional skills, and it's just as important as learning reading or math. This learning process is most effective when it begins early and continues through high school. Social emotional skills are essential for success in school, work, and life. With SEL, students learn to manage their own emotions and behaviors, have empathy and show care and concern for others, solve problems effectively, make responsible decisions, and maintain healthy relationships. Students learn to recognize what's happening inside them and to be aware of their emotions, which helps them deal with strong emotions and impulsive behaviors. It helps them stop, take a breath, and think about a situation before acting. Students learn to identify others' emotions and perspectives, which helps them empathize and show compassion, no matter who they are or what their background is. It's not difficult to imagine how this is important in the classroom and in life. Students learn to solve problems in peaceful ways and communicate assertively about what they need or want. This helps them get along with other students and get the help they need from adults. When students learn to make responsible decisions about their lives and their future, things can turn out better. Research shows social emotional learning makes a difference. Students who participate in SEL do better academically, have improved attitudes and behaviors, and act in delinquent or disruptive ways less often. In the United States, students with strong social-emotional competence are twice as likely to earn a college degree and nearly 50% more likely to graduate from high school and have a full-time job by age 25. Just as important, students who are socially and emotionally competent have more friends. This means they're more likely to feel connected to school and do well, and less likely to be left out or bullied. Simply put, by participating in social-emotional learning, students learn the skills to succeed in every facet of school and the rest of their lives.
Welcome back. I'm sure you've gained a little insight about what SEL is, and I know you'll be learning more. Please get your writing pads ready and your questions ready. We're here to answer all questions and concerns that you've had as educators as regards SEL. SEL simply means social and emotional learning. So I'll be referring to that acronym a lot throughout this program, SEL. Let's take note of that. So I would like to welcome my esteemed panelists today for today's session. I'll start with the first person on my list in no particular order, Yemisi Ojo. Oluwayemisi Ojo is a program officer content for the Global Schools program, and she's currently undergoing her master's program in Germany. She's a world-renowned educationist and has developed several contents for the Sustainable Development Goals on behalf of the Global Schools program. The Global Schools program is an initiative where the schools come under the umbrella of the United Nations to promote ways to solve world problems, teaching children to solve world problems, and also to help them learn more about their environment and how they can promote the Sustainable Development Goals. Welcome, Yemisi.
Thank you, Nana. Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
Good to see you too. And I also have Coretta Martins. Coretta Martins is an educational and strategy officer based in the US. She's currently enjoying her summer vacation in Paris, but she decided to join us here and share some insight with us. Coretta has been a very, very strong advocate for Edves, and she's also been an advocate for social and emotional learning across the United States in some of her strategies and design implementation. Thank you for coming, Coretta. Great to see you again.
Thank you. Great to see you as well. Hello, everyone.
And finally, I also have Matinda Gustav. He's a renowned author and educationist based in Rwanda. He's written so many science textbooks that have been very beneficial to students in Rwanda. Welcome, Gustav. So I don't know if you
Thank
can hear
you.
me. Can you hear me?
Welcome
Yes, thank
to
you.
everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm very happy to meet all of you.
All right, thank you. So let's go straight into the topic for today.
Thanks.
As an educationist, I'm so excited whenever I talk about social and emotional learning because I feel there's a lot of emphasis on academic attainment and academic performance in our schools, and a lot of people are losing touch with reality. And you go on social media, you go on the news, and you hear a lot of mental health issues. I would like to find out, I would like to know, and I know the audience would like to know, why is SEL much more important than ever in our world today? I'll start with Yemisi.
Okay, thank you so much once again, and hello everyone. Okay, just quickly, why cell is very important. Okay, to start with, I live all my life in Nigeria before I moved to Germany, and then I started really interacting with people from different places. And in my program, we're actually 18 of us from 18 different countries. And I mean that in every way. So I am like the only Nigerian, and this person is the only Rwandan, and this person is only Ghanaian. And you can imagine the kind of skills it takes to live in this kind of environment. So, talking about social and emotional learning, it's not far-fetched from our everyday lives. It's, the kind of skills we need to interact with people, because it takes someone who is emotionally intelligent, not just intellectually intelligent, to be able to interact with people, not necessarily avoid conflict, but be able to manage conflict situations, be able to understand that people are different from themselves, and be able to manage that self-awareness. So with social and emotional learning, you develop the self-awareness you need to be able to interact with others, to make lifelong connections, and most importantly, to be able to survive. We are in a very fast globalizing world. You don't even need to leave your country or your state before you have to interact with people. We're talking about virtual, everything is almost virtual now. I'm here. We're talking about remote jobs, remote opportunities, remote interactions with people from different places. It's hard for you to be able to have those kind of connections, interactions that eventually help you succeed in life if you don't have emotional intelligence. So Excel is just almost all about emotional intelligence. How do you handle situations? How much are you aware of your difference, such that you're able to also understand that others are different from you. So yeah, it is very important.
Thank you, Yemisi. I'm sure you're really benefiting from all that you've learned about SEL wherever you are right now. So I'll move to Coretta. Coretta, you're an American, and now more than ever, you're seeing a lot of dynamism in the young minds who you train. And then you hear things about mass shootings. You hear things about global economy, the global economic recession. You hear things about climate change, and then a lot of pandemic going on here and there. What really is SEL? Why is it important to teach SEL in schools today?
Yes, thank you. So, right now is definitely the time for a lot of the things you just mentioned. The pandemic has caused trauma for people of all ages, including and especially our youth. In addition to that, as you named, we have things with gun violence. We have so many things happening to our students that across the entire world, our mental health has never been more important. And SEL is that learning that will help us help ourselves with our mental health, help us really understand what tools we have to navigate all these different situations that we may face. So with social emotional learning, students can start to regulate themselves, can understand who they are, how they think, how they're responding to different emotional triggers, and then that can help them improve their academic performance, communicate their needs, communicate when they feel like they're being bullied, especially with this increase in technology where things students are communicating more and more and more in different spaces. And with well implemented SEL programs, we can positively affect students' overall well being, which will positively affect them with their academic performance in school. So it's all connected.
Thank you very much, Coretta. I'll move to Gustav. What do you think about SEL? How do you see it at play in schools currently in Africa? You can use Rwanda as a case study.
Thank you. For me, I'm finding more exciting. You know, in our Rwanda context here, where people they came from the genocide and now with all the background of the country, people they come to study having their problems. So when I say it can be a kind of a social interaction, emotional interaction, I find that this can be very, very interesting because today the world has become like a village. So nobody can be isolated, nobody can learn from himself. So I'm thinking that from this platform, from this education system, we can maybe link our students with others and they learn more and they feel that they are interested in their learning. Because sometimes, sorry, here we have some noise of the helicopter passing. Sometimes the students, when they are learning, they find it's like a kind of war. They just struggle for marks. Yet, learning or the school should be an area or the environment that promote the social
As
development of
Temitope will do
all
that,
learners.
he will
Thank
put
you.
it in. Thank you very much, Gustav. Thank you so much. That was a great insight. I would like us to teach the audience because a lot of people feel SEL is just okay. Teach them how to behave well. Teach them how to be nice to people. Teach them how to be kind. But what exactly are the principles of SEL? And looking at the jam-packed curriculum in our schools, how can we infuse an element of SEL in everything we do in schools? I'll start with Coretta with this.
Yeah, so the core competencies, as established by Castle, have been around self awareness for students, um, self management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And while those are very much so just about who you are as an individual, they directly correlate to your school experience and your academic experience. So, thinking about in STEM, mathematics and science, there's so much problem solving that this idea of self awareness and decision making happens very, very frequently. In our humanities courses, you have to make a lot of inferences in your text that you're reading in different books. And you're thinking about the decision making you make, your self awareness, your social awareness, which connects to the characters or the main character or the main antagonist in a text. And you can make those connections in the academic experience to what the student's experiencing in their day to day life. And then finally, just like with regulation, this idea of your social awareness that can help with behavior in the classroom. So there's a lot of connections between these key principles and what students do academically and how they can understand others to collaborate.
All right. Yemisi, would you want to add to that?
Yes. Just like Shiat rightly said, we talk about the core principles of self-awareness, of social awareness, and relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So it's such in a way that when you are aware of yourself, how you behave, aside differently from others, you build some sort of awareness about the fact that others are different from you, and that sort of gives you a social awareness of the ability to take into perspective what others think, what their life is like, how they behave differently from you. So, and with that kind of idea, you understand how to self-manage yourself. You regulate your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors effectively, such that because you now understand that how you behave have impact on others. So when you understand that you have that self-awareness, you are able to regulate your behaviors. And with regulating your behaviors so that it doesn't have adverse effects on others, you're able to cooperate, negotiate constructively with others, make friends, and ultimately just be able to make good decisions in life. So yes, I think that's just what I wanted to add because she said almost everything about it. Yes.
Okay. So I would like to find out, as a teacher, how do I make my children or my students become self-aware of themselves? What kind of activities, what kind of programs can you could give us some clues or some ideas, because schools will soon be resuming in September, so they could pick some of these ideas to, infuse in their school programs. So what kind of programs would you suggest to help promote self-awareness, student self-awareness? Coretta?
Yeah, so some things that I've done and I definitely did when I was a teacher, connecting characters' emotions to the students' emotions, depending on the age of the students in elementary or primary school. It's really easy to do that. Or how is the cat feeling? How would you have felt? And making some of those connections. Also doing things like having students make their own class rules. What should be a rule and why should this be a rule? And thinking about how we all work together. Another activity I've done is directly teaching an emotion, like directly teaching stress to students, especially in the middle grades, and telling them what stress is, what it feels like, and having them either sketch a picture or write about what they do when they're stressed and then sharing. So they're able to do some collaboration to practice some of the skills that they're then learning. Those are just a few of the things I've done as a teacher.
All right. So, how about you, Gustav? How do you think we can bring in SEL in the classroom? And for school leaders and school administrators, how can they promote a culture of SEL in schools?
Yeah, I would like maybe to start by the level of the teacher himself. I think that we can promote it by giving some uh, project work. The project work is a kind of an activity given to students where they have to design something and they try to conduct it until they come with the factual result. I give an example in the lesson of biology. We can give a pair work in form of, the project research, where you ask them to make like the fermentation. You say, as you are going for holidays, can you make a fermentation and you bring the product of fermentation? Can you go and you make some bread? So for me, I think with that, the student, if they have to work in a pair or in a group, first they will have a kind of a social interaction. They will have to communicate, and in case they come to find the expected result, they will be very, very excited. They will say, "Oh, we have come to find it." That is what I find. Therefore, I think that from the level of the teacher, the school also should be promoting that by giving more opportunities for the students to work together. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone is actually talking about working together, team bonding, doing various activities that promotes mental health awareness and stress. And it's very important for us to focus on a lot of issues surrounding mental health and stress. A lot of schools shy away from this, and it's as if mental health and stress is more focused on adults in the work environment than in schools. But recent reports has shown that a lot of students are mentally stressed with the jam-packed curriculum, with exams, loads and loads of examinations coming up and all that. So there's a strong desire and strong need to ensure that students learn stress management more than ever. It's also part of SEL. So in your school programs, you can bring in elements of SEL in forms of self stress management, in forms of project management, just like what Gustav suggested, and also in form of self-awareness, being self-aware, just like what Yemisi suggested. And that brings me to a little story I'd like to share. I remember during the COVID era, a school in Canada, one of the provinces in Canada, an English teacher was teaching her children letter writing. And she thought, okay, how can I make this, relate this to SEL and also promote social and community development? And she made her grade 2 students to write letters to people suffering from COVID and send these letters to various hospitals and centers, COVID centers, where these people were being alienated. And it brought a lot of joy to the minds, to the lives of people who saw and read the letters from various students all across the province. So that's an aspect, that's an example of SEL, how you can, blend what you're learning in the classroom to the community at large. Thank you very much to all the panelists for bringing that up. Now, I'll move to the next question. What major world issues does SEL seek to solve through education? I know, Yemisi, you're a global schools program advocate and you've been doing a lot of community development over the years. Now, from your experience, I'd like you to share with us what kind of problems have you been able to solve? What kind of world and community problems have you been able to solve just with promoting the teaching of SEL in schools?
Okay, thank you. Let me quickly share a short story. So I was in Benue State. I was at the internally displaced camps for victims of herder crisis. And we were with about 50 children in the camp, and we were just trying to talk to them about the SDGs, about the importance of tolerance. And one of the kids just told the guy who was interpreting to us that I was asking them what they would like to become, in the future, how you like to become a nurse, a doctor, a barrister. And he said that they should tell me that he wanted to be a soldier. And I was sort of curious, why do you want to be a soldier? And he said that he wanted to destroy whoever it was that destroyed his home, because I think the crisis sort of destroyed his home, and I think one of his parents was killed in the process. And I'd never really been able to forget that. So when I think of social emotional learning and I think about the issue of conflict, you would agree with me that conflict is something that is very big in Africa, and I'm not going too far. In West Africa alone, there's so many things happening at the same time: banditry, terrorism. And why is this happening? It's because of differences in religion, differences in culture, in ways of life. There's so many tensions when it comes to the fact that we are different from one another. So if you ask me why sell, or why is it important, I would say that it's tolerance, peace, promotion of peace, because development can never happen in a place where there's no peace, where there's no tolerance. It doesn't matter how the economy cannot even be stable to start with. So when we talk about social emotional learning and really knowing that others are very different from you, and it's okay for others to be different from you, it's okay for them to be of different color, it's okay for them to be of different religion, it doesn't make you less or more. And when you learn how to, adapt to different people from different places, it's a big deal when it comes to peace, because we're really lacking peace in this world. It's getting really hard. And so when we talk about social emotional learning and how it can promote the skill of tolerance, the skill of building peace, we talk about national development. We talk about development entirely as a word. So I would say that, yeah, the main reason why, for instance, at global schools, we are really promoting social emotional learning is just so that we can have students who are very competent to handle differences and who can adapt wherever they find themselves. Yeah, I think
All
that's
right,
it.
thank you so much. That's so touching. I was almost moved to tears just hearing your story about the little boy who said he would like to be a soldier just because he family was killed in a crisis, and that's the reality of our world. I find it difficult discussing SEL because it brings in a lot of emotional outpour from individuals who participate in the program.
Nana, are you there?
Away from it. I would like to hear your. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so as I was saying, I would like to hear your views, Matende, Gustav. I know Rwanda
Okay.
actually had issues with genocide. How were you able, as a nation, to bring your students out of the experience of the genocide and then bring them out to the level where they are currently? That there's a high level of tolerance in Rwanda currently. Would you like to share your story with us?
Oh, thank you very much. I think for Rwanda, it has been a long journey. It was a long journey, and the government has tried to make some program where people speak about the reconciliation, and this has been introduced in the all level. It has been introduced not only at the school level, even in the area where people are living. And then in Rwanda, we have also, kind of cross-cutting issue where we speak about the peace and the value education. So this has been introduced in our curriculum. Teachers have been trained for that, such as all teachers, they now know that even if he is teaching history, mathematics, or geography, he has to do his best in order to implement among the young people the the positive value and the knowledge of peace. How can they make peace? With that, they try to show people what are some of the way which we should avoid when we are in a society. And then now, slow by slow, people have come to understand that they have to be to live in peace. And in fact, we have not succeeded at 100%, but we see we have done some steps in all levels. From the nursery to the university, we emphasize on the peace and the value education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gustav. Good to hear that a lot of us are going, ahead to make tolerance a culture in our schools. I have a question from the audience. Can teachers, that's from Samelia Goje, he says, can teachers teach social emotional regulation without practicing it in their everyday life? That's the first question. What is the best way for an adult to develop this ability? The second question. And then, how can I get an SEL curriculum aligned with Nigeria's curriculum? So I'll allow Coretta to answer the first question. Can teachers teach social emotional regulation without practicing it in their own lives every day?
Yeah, so I think so. And I think it looks different depending on what age the students you're working with. When you're working with high schoolers, as you all know, they have lots of thoughts and they have plenty of opinions and feelings about their social being in this world. So a lot of it is really just facilitating conversations and releasing the students to collaborate together. They will engage in the conversations. And sometimes as an educator, you may not know all the answers, and that's okay. It's just bringing up a topic and letting the students talk about it. Like, hey, what do you do when you're stressed out? Or, hey, what do you do when you're upset with someone and you know you can't, act out or misbehave? What are some ways that you calm down? and letting the students share the strategies together, because we don't have to be the expert. They know what's best for them. But with middle schoolers, the middle grades, they feel a different way every couple hours. So you have to have even more of those conversations about who they are today, tomorrow, how they're feeling, and how they would interact. And as we discussed a little bit before, projects are a great way to do that, where you don't have to do a project every single day in class, but it might be at the beginning of the unit to launch it. What are you excited to learn about in this unit or in this chapter? Or at the end as a summative way to really come together and bring together all the perspectives. And with the younger kids, you could do it through games. You could do it at recess. It doesn't necessarily have to be every day. And it doesn't have to be something you're an expert in, just really giving the kids the time and space to have those conversations and express what they need. And kids will tell us what they need if we just give them an opportunity.
Yeah, very true. And then for the second question, what is the best way for an adult to develop this ability? I'll allow Yemisi to answer this question because she's an SDG advocate. So let's see
Okay.
how, give us some
Thank
tips
you.
on how I can become more self-aware, I can master my emotions, and I can gain a high level of emotional intelligence.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if it's okay to just chip in a little bit to the first question.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to actually start by saying that, um, you know, teaching social emotional learning can be a bit hard, especially if you don't know about yourself, because it's hard to be able to recognize other people's emotions and be able to interpret it. So it's really important to some extent that we also learn about those emotions and about being an adult and how adults can learn it. Personally, I never really had that upbringing about my emotions. I didn't know what happened. I couldn't really read my emotions, and I started really learning when I was 24. it's that it was that bad, really. So an adult can definitely learn. You just need to I think be willing to learn, because at that point you've really mastered, you know, your behaviors are really well formed, so you must just be willing to learn about yourself. And there are really a lot of self-help books, and I know self-help books can be cliche sometimes, but they are very helpful. And personally, I read a lot of self-help books about my personality. So why do I behave the way I do? What does my personality say about me? Okay. Oh, you know, at some point I got to see some materials that by the time I was done reading the book, I was sure that they were talking about me. I was sure this person who wrote the book knew me somewhere. So these books sort of help you know about yourself, your personality, your tendencies to behave in some sort of way. And when you learn those tendencies, when you learn the reasons why you behave the way you do, you really understand yourself more. And if you understand yourself more, that means you build self-awareness, and you appreciate yourself to an extent, and also appreciate how others behave, knowing that, okay, this is me and this is why I'm different from this other person. So now I know myself. Now I know what pushes me off from people. I know when I'm sad. I know some of the things that could lead me to being sad sometimes. And, you know, so you can learn from anywhere, anytime. You can learn at any age about social emotional learning. And just to add that, at the global schools, we have an activity guide for sale, especially for teachers who want to teach. So one of the first things we do is to let them know that you also need to do some sort of self-reflection before you teach cell. And so we have this activities guide where we have the teacher's part and the student part. So the teacher's part, I don't know if Nena, if you have access to it, but I can send the link.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm also a
We
global schools advocate,
okay. Oh,
and
great. Yeah.
it's amazing what I
Okay.
learned just
Awesome.
going through the training process. I think we
Yeah.
need to also maybe bring more teachers on board to
Mm-hmm.
join the global schools program, where they would get to
Yeah.
learn several things and get to improve their teaching skills as regards social and emotional learning and
Mm-hmm.
other ways to promote sustainable development goals, because our world needs it more than ever. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe you would like to share the link with us before the program ends so that teachers could join the Global Schools Network and maybe get more training on that. Then for the final question, how can I get a SEL that sell curriculum aligned with Nigeria's curriculum? I think Yemisi has already answered that. You need to get trainings and maybe be a part of the movement to join several programs to get information about SEL, and then make a lot of research as well, and then pick topics and learning materials to guide you in blending your curriculum with the SEL. SEL is not a curriculum, by the way, it's a program to help students become better in their learning processes. All right, so we'll go on a short break. And while we go on that break, I would like us to check our chats, our comment section. There will be a link posted on one of our Edves products. Remember, we are here to serve. We have a new product that is also promoting SEL, and it's called personalized learning. So I'd like you to watch a short clip or a video giving more information about PL by Edves, and then go straight to your comment section and then click on the link to join the wait list. See you soon.
Schools do not have to let the number of classrooms available limit their potential for growth. With PL by Edves, you can offer your curriculum to thousands of students all over the world with pre-recorded content and live, one-on-one, or group tutoring. Parents can now gain access to tutors in the best schools in the world for their child. No need to pay exorbitant fees while turning the area of weakness to strength for your children with a personalized learning tailored to their best learning method. Students can now learn topics and subjects of their choice from schools and tutors all over the world at their own pace and learning style. Scaling up in your academic performance shouldn't be a hurdle. Imagine getting support from a product that cares. PQ by Edves. Take mock tests and exams on external exams of your choice, such as WAEC, NECO, IGCSE, and more. Get to know your weaknesses and strengths in various subjects after each test through analyzed data. Click on the link to get started now. Schools do not have to let the number of classrooms available limit their potential for growth. With PL by Edves, you can offer your curriculum to thousands of students all over the world with pre-recorded content and live, one-on-one, or group tutoring. Parents can now gain access to tutors in the best schools in the world for their child. No need to pay exorbitant fees while turning the area of weakness to strength for your children with a personalized learning tailored to their best learning method. Students can now learn topics and subjects of their choice from schools and tutors all over the world at their own pace and learning style.
Welcome back. So welcome back to our panelists. We've been discussing about social and emotional learning and how it can be infused in our schools, in our classrooms, and in our world in general, looking at the way the world is changing and the dynamics of our society today. I would like to welcome back my panelists who have been so helpful. I've learned a lot from each and every one of them today. Coretta Martins, Oluwayemisi Ojo, and Matenda Gustav. Welcome back. Now I'm going to delve deeply into SEL, focusing on technology. Looking at our world today, we're in the 21st century, technology and all that. Everybody's talking about tech, technology here and there. Now, do you think that technology has made SEL easier, or has it improved SEL in the classroom, or has it reduced SEL in the classroom? For whichever one you select, can you tell us how you think it has improved it or how you think it has reduced SEL in the classroom? I'll start with Coretta.
Yeah, so I think it has definitely improved SEL in the classroom. I also am very, very pro technology. I think that the student's world is very much so, the student world is very much so on technology now, whether it be on social media, using the internet. So students live in a computer age. They live in a digital world. So we can use technology to get a snapshot of how students are doing academically through personalized learning using technology, and using that to connect to their individual social emotional skills. They can set social emotional goals, and we can track that using technology. Not only can edtech be used to help increase that self-awareness and social awareness, but it can be the tool that students use to self-manage, to make decisions. So I think that it has only helped and actually gives us a lot more to research and look into as we continue to build out what technology and SEL can look like if we bring the two together.
Wow, thank you very much. Matanda, I would like to ask, do you think EdTech is really promoting SEL in their products, the kind of products that are being used in our present generation by schools, looking at EdTech companies right now? Do you think a lot of products are actually promoting SEL or not?
For me, I think is promoting because first of all, it helps them to make easy research and it allows them to work hands in hands. And there I find that they have some social interaction. And again, as I was saying, whenever they come to find some result, or they develop some emotional, emotional reaction. For me, I find that the technology today is helping students. But in another side, when we come to look how students are working now, you can see the experience we got here during the COVID-19 lockdown. A student was alone. He was at the home and he could learn from there. So by that time, he's not in the contact with others. Yes, in fact, they can have some text to exchange to say how is it there, but they are not together. So they were enjoying learning, and indeed they have been learning, but they have been isolated because the interaction needs also some physical interaction. So that aspect, I see that also it can reduce. So when we keep on overloading them with the work, we ask them go and make a research, go and make research. Some of them they become selfish and they become away from others.
Wow. So that's a feedback that I'm getting about students who felt alienated, even with technology, even with online classes, meeting with other students across their geolocation, right, during the lockdown, but they still felt lonely. They still felt isolated. Yamisi, how do you think we can still use technology to solve the alienation and isolation gap that may occur from frequent use of technology?
Okay, thank you. I mean, I think that's a hard question because for me, my technology has really definitely enhanced social emotional learning, you know, and but the grudge I have is the fact that edtech products are not very inclusive themselves, and they are not very pro sell themselves, because we talk about social emotional learning and the experience is the human first, not the product. And in many cases, that's hardly the case. So there's this focus on product rather than human experience, which is very important. And it has to be inclusive. And what do I mean by that? you know, if you have some challenges, some kind of disability, you can access it. It's to an extent expensive for people who really need this knowledge the most. So for me, I would say that there's need for a more sensitive products making when it comes to the edtech sector, especially one that suits the atmosphere of social emotional learning that can reach more people, have more people access it, and also be able to use it as much as possible, and also something that's a little bit more tolerating. So I might not be able to answer the first question about how it enhances it, but I would say that it's a very good platform to enhance social emotional learning, but we need to be very focused on the human experience first, much more than the product. And maybe we'll be able to come up with something even more tangible about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Edves is really doing that with our personalized learning, we've been able to achieve that human side of learning. So the students join in and they're asked, personal questions, psychometric testings to know how they learn, to know how they feel, and then feedback is given immediately to the teacher who joins them on the other end on how well they learn and how well they feel. And it's easy to communicate with the students when you infuse all these measures, in online learning. Online learning shouldn't just be rigorous and just based on notes copying, note taking, and just dishing out information. There has to be an element of, I guess that's why social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and the rest of them are making billions of dollars, because they've been able to tap into artificial intelligence, human nature, and how humans think and feel. And that should also be something that should be infused in edtech products, from what Yemisi has just suggested. Thank you very much. I'll move to the next question, and this has to do with parents. A lot of parents feel that when a child is with a tool, an edtech tool or a device, they are fine, they are good to go. What are some advice that we can give to parents? So you hear a lot of parents say that my child committed suicide, or my child almost committed suicide, or my child was feeling this way and I never knew. I thought he was happy. I thought she was happy. So what are some things that we can engage parents in to also be involved in SEL and to understand their children when it comes to their learning and development? I'll start with Matende, Gustav.
Thank you. I think that learning of the student should be isolated, because is not the only uh, stakeholder for the learning. I think the parent should be always associated with all activities of their student, of their children. If the child is learning, the parent should be aware of what he's doing. Like if he has to use some media, if he has to use some channels, the parent should know which channels the child is visiting, because that's what happens very often. You can think that the child is learning, yet he's just in the social media, he has gone and is looking at the porno, watching the movies which are not safe. So I think that the parent should first of all know which kind of tool my child is using through his learning. And again, if we need be, there should be a kind of a link, a bridge between the family and the family, and the school, such as through the school, we can have some platform where we inform the parent. We have sent this to your child. You will be having this. You will be having to submit this work by this date, and by that the parent makes a follow, and they can know what exactly the child is doing. But in our context today, we have found that they're becoming very busy. The parent, we see some parents, they are very busy from Monday to Sunday. They don't know what is going on, and that is unfair. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. This is a source of concern. And I know that technology also answers that problem, because there are some tech tools, if I'm correct, that help to monitor the processes of what students are actually doing on their devices. Corrector? Am I correct? Corrector? There are some tech tools that monitor what your child does, and then you as a parent will be able to follow up, right? Do you want to
Yes.
share more about that?
Yeah, so there's a ton of tools that you can use as a parent, where you're not stopping the student or like telling them no. It's trying to figure out how to do it either with them or just, as you named it, to monitor what's happening. So there are a series of tools that you can get that are either apps or student-friendly versions. There's Student Facebook Messenger. for children, where it's a little bit safer. And different ways you can do that. Or if you're middle age or a high school student wants to get a Facebook page or a Twitter page, say, okay, but can I follow you too? So that you're not saying no, but you are monitoring what they're doing and monitoring what they're seeing. I think it's important that parents build that relationship with the student so that the students don't have a fear of telling you when something is wrong, and they can really share their emotions and share their concerns with you, knowing that you're still the parent, but also that they feel comfortable having those communications about their emotions. And the way you can do that is sometimes having conversations about strengths or highlights in their personality. Like, hey, you did a really good job not getting upset when I said no to you. Or, wow, like you showed a lot of maturity when you helped your little brother out, even though you wanted to be quicker. And just really shouting them out and giving them positive praise when they do things good that are low risk. So during more high risk situations where they're feeling depressed, where they may be considering suicide or other unhealthy behaviors, you've built the relationship where they feel like, okay, I can tell my mom this or I can tell my dad this because it's a normal part of the conversation. Also, what was named was this idea of schools and families communicating. And I think that's also really important because a student may tell their teacher or may tell a trusted adult at school. And you want to be sure that when we tell the parents how your student's doing in math, how your student's doing in English, this is how they're doing with collaborating with friends or making friends, and giving the same type of feedback around their social emotional learning as you do their academic learning when communicating with parents with tools
Wow.
like Edves.
Wow. So schools are supposed to have also a reporting template of SEL. That's what you're actually trying to say now. So schools should have a reporting template of SEL that parents can see and also get to know. So it's very important for parents to understand their children. I always say this, that children spend more time in school than at home. So it's very important for school administrators and teachers to bring up a report template for SCL to share with parents and guidance. And then it can also be done using technology, as simple as a text message, as simple as an SMS about how the child felt that day and what the child did and how the child collaborated. So that's a very good one. Thank you very much. Now, before we come to the end of our program for today, I've learned so many things, and some research I've made in the past, I've also justified the knowledge I've received just from what we've shared today. I'd like to introduce a group of people who have looked at the needs of the African child in trying to enhance literacy and also enhance history and also enhance social and emotional skills by designing an app. I'd like to bring up Louisa to come to join us here and talk to us about Kunda Kids. Welcome, Louisa. How are you doing? Louisa is joining us from UK. I'll give her just 2 minutes to talk to us about Kunda Kids and how Kunda Kids has been influencing the social and emotional learning of children all around the diaspora. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nana. And it's been so wonderful listening to all of these wonderful recommendations. So to introduce myself, my name is Louisa Olafuyi. I'm based in London and one of the co-founders of Kunda Kids. We are a children's publishing, entertainment, and edtech company. I love this conversation around social and emotional intelligence and being able to really instill that to young people. Essentially, as a business, we write children's books around celebrating African history and African culture, because unfortunately, whether you knew it or not, only around 4% of published children's books have a lead Black character. So we find that African children are hugely misrepresented, underrepresented, and not reflected in a lot of content that they have. That's a statistic in the UK. It's around 10% in the US. But in the countries that we visited, from Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, we see the same thing when we go into bookstores and when we see library books in schools. So to address that, we create picture books, audio books, and a whole range of things to support teachers and educators to help diversify stories and learning in the classroom. More importantly, especially as we've talked about technology, is the fact that we have a Kunda Kids app. And this app is free, available for educators, teachers, and even parents to download on the Apple App Store and also on the Google Play Store. So I'd really urge you to download it. On this app,
Children can read stories, they can listen to audio stories where they're represented. This is just an example of one of our wonderful series that highlights different kings and queens from African history in a fun, playful, and enjoying way. In addition to that, we have a wonderful segment in the app that tackles languages. So in the app, children can learn basic phrases and words in Yoruba, Tree, Igbo, Luganda, Wolof, Kiswahili, so many different language options. The learning is important, and getting children from A to B in their language goals is key. But what we've also done is make sure that all of our stories and all of our content builds on important soft skills, which very much tie into kind of this social emotional conversation that we're having. They're learning about building confidence through these characters. They're learning about resilience, generosity, kindness, emotions, which are all really important because we want our children to be smart, but we want our children to be happy, have a strong sense of self, and very much enlightened about the opportunity to participate in the ecosystem, this ecosystem that we call life. So there's so much to say. In terms of what we do for teachers, we have a teacher's guide. So with each story, we have a wonderful guide which gives you classroom activity suggestions, quizzes, activity books, lots of ways that not only are you telling a story in your classroom, but you're building on it and you're engaging and giving them an opportunity to really advance their critical thinking in the classroom. So I know I just have 5 minutes, Nena, and I could talk about this forever, but I really just wanted to make sure that everybody here has an opportunity to download the Kunda Kids app. It's perfect for home. It's perfect for the classroom. We are developing so many resources and skills to support you as educators. So I really, really hope that you enjoy it. I welcome your feedback, and you're welcome to follow us on all our social medias and Kunda Kids and reach out to us directly. Would love to know how you're implementing some of these tools in the classroom, and of course, how we can help you to continue to enhance that. So Nena, I think that's my 5 minutes, but yes, I know there's quite a lot to get through, but here's just an example of just some of the content in the app.
Yes, thank you so much, Louisa. That was quite helpful. At Edves, we seek to get meaningful partnerships from educators all around the world because we believe in reimagining education in Africa, and we also believe that as an edtech company as well, we need to infuse social and emotional learning in all that we do. Kunda Kids will be joining Edves soon on our resource list for those already on the Edves portal, and also on other platforms that we have, such as our personalized learning platform. So it's good for you to join the wait lists and be a part of the movement to personalize learning and deliver positive and quality learning content to children all over the world, from wherever you are as a school owner or as a teacher. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of this session, and I would like my panelists to say one last thing about social and emotional learning before we end today's session. So can my panelists come back and then give us their final words before we end the session? I'll start with Yemisi Ojo.
Okay, thank you once again for the opportunity. I just would like to say that for students, self-identity is very important, especially as a child when you're growing up. It's good to have this identity because with everything happening in the world, there's tendency to develop identity crisis where you're no longer sure of yourself. You find yourself in another different world, and you're like, am I really this person? So as a child or even as a young person, it's good to develop social emotional learning from a young age. And I believe that having platforms like this and parents who are able to help you build that character early just gives you some assurance and some identity, which really can be a backbone in crisis, mental health crisis and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that that's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Yemisi. Coretta?
Thank you. I would say something very similar. We talk a lot in the academic space about IQ and students' intellect, but it's also important to look at EQ and their emotional abilities. SEL is going to be very, very crucial now and moving forward in education. And it's going to be so important as educators that we help our students from an early age have that self-awareness, that identity, and really be able to figure out who they are and how they having a critical consciousness of how they present in the world. I think that it is going to be very important in younger years, and we will see the outcomes in school as students get older in their ability to collaborate, in their ability to make great decisions, and in their ability to become great adults who we have to work with, who might be our manager, who might be our boss. So we want everyone to develop these skills, and now is a better time than ever to really, really go deep into what does SEL look like and how can we infuse it into our school programs to educate the whole student and not just the intellectual side of them.
Thank you, Coretta. And the only man blessed among ladies, Mr. Matande Gustav, what are your final words?
Just to thank all these ladies who have been with me. I'm very, very happy, I'm very, very excited. And we think that in Rwanda, SDVS should be, I think, a new way of boosting our teaching and learning system. So we are welcoming it and we want to know more so that our students can feel free to learn and they can be excited in learning. From what I've been getting, what I say something, I think that ADVS
Okay, I think we lost him. Okay, he's back.
Thank you very much.
All right, I think we lost your voice, your audio at a point, but I think we got the message right. Now, thank you so much to all the panelists for coming. Before we leave, I would like us to ensure that we click on the peer wait list to join our personalized learning, and also remember to be a part of the Edves Telegram group. The link is already on our various social media pages for you to join the link on our Telegram group. Join the Edves educators community where we learn and we share ideas as well on Telegram, as well as joining the wait list for PL. It's a movement that we're ready to push and move and ensure that our students benefit from everything that we do. So I would like us to ensure that we join the Telegram link, and then you see it on your various platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, and Instagram. And then you can also join the wait list and every other thing that we've shared with us today. Thank you for coming today, and we hope to see you in the next Edves SGA webinar, which comes up in August. More information will be sent out to you, and more information will be given to you as to when you can register and what the topic is going to be about. Before I leave, I would like some of our participants to state in the comment section what they've learned from this webinar and what they would like to share with others that who couldn't attend this webinar, they would like to share with their colleagues and with people around. So I'll give us 2 minutes to do that while we watch a promo video from Edves.
Edves is solving a lot of problems for us. It is centralizing all the information. Temple School has 4 locations, and so it's not easy trying to coordinate everything. You want to be able to sit and look at all the information at a glance.
I think what Edves did was they added value that was able to support our vision and our mission for the children that passed through us.
We're lucky that we were able to get the Edves team on board before the lockdown, because with that we had all the information very centrally, and having that was very easy for us to be able to communicate all the different changes.
We now don't have to go to different places to get information. So you don't need to get different spreadsheets. You don't need to get access to different reports. You can eliminate the paperwork. That helps you. You know, I can actually be at a party and I can check on my phone and know what is going on. So,
okay, we do reports, but what do these reports tell us
about our students? Can we have descriptive statements? For the first time, we were able to do that at the end of the last academic session, where not only did we have the grades and ranking of the students, but every teacher had the opportunity to describe the child within their setting, how well they're doing, how well they're coping with the lessons or the subject, and the needs for them to improve. And that was, for me, a big step, because our parents actually embraced.
Edves has helped us concerning the preparation of results, has also helped us to have database of children or learners, the database of staff, database of parents, and to that extent, communication with parents and staff has become a lot easier.
The quality of Edves reports has been very, very good. We have not had any cause to give a negative report.
Analyze information. I think it's the analysis. Again, I always say to the Edves team, is the fact that we can analyze data. So I know children performance according to gender. Just by touching a button. I know children's performance according to class. Children's performance according to, I can access my financial information, who has paid, who hasn't paid. So I think school owners who are not on Edves, right, obviously need to be on Edves.
Use Edves today.
Use Edves today.
Use Edves today. You'll never go wrong.
I'm recommending Edves today. Make sure you get on board.
Use Edves today.
I would recommend Edves to schools, big or small schools.
Use Edves. What are you waiting for? Use Edves. Come on now.
Use Edves today. What are you waiting for? Thank you so much for joining us in this month's SGA webinar series on social and emotional learning. I hope we'll be able to practice all that we've learned today. We're not just preaching. We want you to also put it into practice and share testimonials of how the SGA webinar has changed your lives, changed your school life, your teachers' lives, as well as the children in your school. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. I would like all my panelists to say thank you and to say bye to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you next month, everyone. Bye.
Scaling up in your academic performance shouldn't be a hurdle. Imagine getting support from a product that cares. PQ by Edves. Take mock tests and exams on external exams of your choice, such as WAEC, NECO, IGCSE, and more. Get to know your weaknesses and strengths in various subjects after each test through analyzed data. Click on the link to get started now.
Pull up in a Rolls, I pull up in a Rari, Bentley GT, that's how we roll. I'm a the boy, no they joke. Oh, hey. Call me the goat, call me the freaking elephant man, cause my trumpets I blow. This not real life, no be joke. Step into the 5-star, looking like a rock star. Ever battle ready, me a do, me a fighter. Show me the lighter, I'ma make we light up. Anybody want bring me some beef, not to bite them. Enemies they fight them, friends just they like them. No be ordinary human being, I'm an icon. Move like a viper, sting like a python. Anywhere where you see me for street, fair they I know they move with balance. I do my thing and balance, yeah. You already know. Say we run it, London to Lagos to Atlanta. Yeah, I know they play with Palasa. Yeah, I do my thing like a balance. Yeah, that Ghana to Soweto, then they wait to, cause they know say we balance. Yeah. I pull up in a Rolls, I pull up in a Rari, Bentley GT, that's how we roll. I'm a the boy, no they joke. Oh, Hey, call me the goat. Call me the freaking elephant, man, cause my trumpet I blow. This not real life, no be. Person we like to the folk. We no get spark cause you think it's a joke. Call me hangman cause my bling you the choke. You the